In this video, we're going to talk about the secret that could kill Spawn. Alrighty then, this is a comic book review of Spawn, issue number 352, brought to you by Rated Comics. Let's get to it. So previously on Spawn, Spawn realizes that Blood, the king of vampires' plans are greater than he thought. So before we go forward with the story, we have to go back 2 months ago. The night Hell's War ended. That was the moment that Nyx took the throne of Hell. So these demons that can't transform into human form because the dead zones envelop the entire world. Heaven and hell, they all lost their powers. They're not superhuman no more. They're super ordinary, to say the very least. Or to put it at best, if you want to call it that. So one of the demons is calling away to see if he can reach out to other agents of hell. But you know what? They can't stay in that human form. They got to do something, but they don't know where to go. And they just know they need to get out of here, but they have no way of doing that. So whatever the case is, they're kind of screwed at this point. So something comes up behind them, and it's vampires just ready to go to work. And they're all about business right now. So it's commonly believed that vampires needed an invitation to enter someone's home. Anyone ever watch True Blood or Twilight or anything like that? Or any vampire related shows or movies? Anyways, but as heaven and hell are learning, that's just a superstition. And they go to work on these demons. And this demon tries to fight back, but this vampire is like, bruh, come on now. You really gonna try me like that? Stops his hand in his track with a slight little twist. We got that as the result. So this demon's pissed, like, you have no idea what you're unleashing. There'll be a war over this. There already was a war over this, says the vampire. Your side lost, and heaven too. So please, pass on my thanks to your new queen. We couldn't have done this without her, and that's Nyx. And tell Nyx that Blood says hi. Blood will now owe her one for doing this favor. So because Blood over the years built up the files of every single one of Heaven and Hell's agents on Earth, he knew their human identities, where they lived, if they had bred any offspring, because when the right opportunity came, he wanted to be able to strike hard and strike fast. It was estimated that after the first night, his vampires hunted down and slaughtered nearly 40% of Hell's forces and Heaven's forces too. 40% just gone on the first night. By the end of the first week, that number had risen to 70%. So 2/3 of the force approximately just knocked out. So the final 30% would not be going down easily as we get into this image right here. And this picks up exactly where we left off in the previous issue. These vampires and this new human, this new girl who comes into the fold, we don't know who she is, we don't even know her name. So they fight her and she's handling business with ease with these vampires. So the vampires are trying to go to work on her, but she's giving them that work. She's handling them with ease and with grace. So they want to know, who is she, as one of the vampires just gets a box and just clobbers her from behind. But they're not sure if the dead zones had anything to do with it, because the dead zones, what, did they go back to normal? No, it can't be, because her armor, the armor that she's wearing, are Heaven's emblems. But they don't know who she is. She can't be an agent of Heaven because Heaven also lost her powers too. So they don't know who she is. And she's got no wings. Unlike Red Bull that gives you wings, but she ain't got no wings. So when the mysterious woman appeared, Spawn wanted to know how she still had her powers, because the dead zones were still covering the planet, meaning she is a hybrid of some kind. And she got pissed because, you know, this guy who got decked with Spawn's chain in between his eyes, that is the right amount of distraction she needed for her to do her work. And I'm just going to take a quick moment to admire that and let you guys know that this video is sponsored by coffee. So hey, if you'd like to buy your boy a cup of coffee, link in description or donate to the super thanks, but I will get back into the content right now. And Spawn needs to know if her being a hybrid of some kind, of her still having her powers, is a good thing or a bad thing for him. So she goes up to this vampire and asks, where is Blood? I don't know. He ain't telling her nothing. Wrong answer, she says. And Spawn gets up and he tries to do a Spawn thing. Thank you for your help, but I'm wondering why you've got powers. It's not important to you, not for you anyway. So Spawn puts his hand on her shoulder like, you can't take Blood down on your own. And she backhands him angrily. I wouldn't have to if he hadn't screwed everything up, alright? So that backhand is a mean backhand. And before, Spawn would have been back up on his feet instantly. But now it takes him time to recover from a blow of that magnitude. And she walks away with the vampire and herself. By then, the woman is long gone. She's tough, but whoever she is, she's inexperienced. Otherwise, she would have noticed the tracking device that Spawn slipped onto her prisoner, the vampire, during their fight. So she just took the vampire, not even noticed the tracking device. That's kind of crazy. So back in Germany, Blood and this Deadshot looking agent that works for the agency, is just having a conversation. And Blood tells his agency, well, I know your boss is running scared because the walls are closing in on him. Otherwise, he knows his time of being on the top is officially over. Sending me his lackey to deliver his messages proves that. And this guy is like, you want to look at it that way? Knock yourself out. The message is still the same to me. The recruits you've been sending to us, they're defective. And Blood's like, your boss knew that. We all do. Angels and demons still here on Earth are essentially mortal. And this guy is just getting pissed, like, we've broken heaven and hell's influence. We need to ensure it stays permanent. Yeah? We? What do you mean we? You tell the agency that's not my problem. That's not how it's gonna work. I know your boss has a high opinion of himself, but remind your boss, there's a reason his enemies aren't in control today. Me. You had nothing to do with this anomaly, says the deadshot looking agent. But you're right. He has to come back to his senses because for some reason they need Blood and Blood needs them. So he has to come to his senses and tells Blood, you did wipe out most of the deity forces stuck here on Earth, which is why I'd have thought you, more than anyone, would want this to work, because if their strengths ever return, they'll be coming to you, not us, because you're the one hunting them down. And Blood gets pissed because he knows that's true. The truth hurts, and whenever someone gets mad when you tell them the truth, know why they get mad. And I don't know if this search or them working together has something to do with finding the cure for vampirism, because that's what Spawn's been trying to do. Find the cure to level the playing field. But why do they need to work with one another? That's pretty crazy, but also pretty interesting story arc if he asks me. So Blood walks down the hallway and this mysterious figure asks, you want me to follow him? No, they're no threat for now. We'll just keep them running in circles. So what's the latest intel, asks Blood. So this mysterious figure is like, okay, well, no update from the teams we sent to heaven and hell, but we did have attempted breaches from heaven's side this morning at zones 11 and 12. Both have been confirmed. So remember what I mentioned. Blood is now controlling the pathways to the dead zones between heaven and hell. Whenever heaven's or hell's agents try to use him, he comes in and just wipes him out. So mysterious figure also tells Blood that there was also another incident with angels near zone 5 yesterday, but I've dealt with them too. Good, says Blood. Also, there's one other thing. Spawn was spotted at Purgatory asking about you, and Blood gets happy like morning wood. Took him longer than I expected. Continue to monitor him. He won't slow down unless we make him. So later, that deadshot looking agent gets asked by Jason Wynn, because he's the director of the agency, how did it go? Blood's playing with us, sir. Those missing scientists from last month, they all work for him now. He's hunting the same thing we are, and I believe that's the cure for vampirism, because if Blood can get a hold of that first, he holds all the playing cards, he holds all the leverage, he holds all the power. Of course he did. I did the same, and I have to imagine he's talking to Jason Wynn at that point. Jason Wynn, we're just gonna assume that, or whoever that voice is on the intercom, tells this deadshot looking agent that his international influence and current powers give him the edge, but he knows we'll figure out a way to neutralize it as kind. We must develop a bioweapon to deal with angels and demons quickly, in the event when they do get their powers back. So he asks, how do you want to proceed? Should we reconsider? Should we do like an incursion or an invasion or what? Forget about that for now. There's another prospect I want you to look into. One that could let us bypass Blood altogether. Whoever that may be, that's interesting. But going back to Spawn. Spawn's tracker traveled to this warehouse before going dead. His journey to get there is another reminder of how much things have changed. Before it was a second. That's all it would have taken to go from one spot to one spot when he was able to travel in shadows and travel across the city to get anywhere on the planet because he was using those shadows to do so. But in war, you learn to make the needed adjustments. In many ways, this is what he always wanted, a world free from heaven's or hell's influence. Yet, he can't ignore the relief he felt during that brief moment he thought his powers had returned. Now, this new anomaly has created a void countless new threats are rushing to fill, some of whom have a clear advantage over him. And are there enemies who already have their powers back? So Spawn has to deal with all that. He doesn't know that yet. So Terry responds to Al over the intercom. He's got his message. He wants to know what's up. And Spawn is like, I need your help finding a woman. Do you have respect, says Terry. Not much. I mean, she's a new player. I'm at her hideout, but it looks abandoned. Sending the address now. Hit up your contacts. See if you could get any CCTV footage of the surrounding areas. I need IDs on anyone coming or going from this building. And Terry's like, well, my peer list is growing thin these days, but I'll see what I can do. As we get these flashbacks from the previous issue of these angels trying to go to the dead zones, but they get just wiped out. Terry's like, what's so important about her anyway? She doesn't seem to be affected by the dead zones. Oh, I don't know why, says Spawn. Maybe Heaven's found a workaround for their people, but I need to know. I need an answer here. And Terry's like, you sure it's dead zone related? Feels like it's all kinds of superpower oddballs are coming out the woodwork, but none running around with Heaven battle armor, says Spawn. That's what makes it interesting. Right now, she's the best lead that Al Simmons has got. He needs to find a cure for vampirism, and she might be the source. She might be, in other words, right now, she's definitely the person of interest. And she could be the key to saving Eddie. Eddie Frank, aka the Reaper, a new servant of Blood's army. That is crazy that Eddie Freak got turned into a vampire right now. Once known as the Redeemer and Reaper, now turned into a servant of Blood's vampire. I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm liking the new story arc with finding a cure for vampirism and Spawn highlighting his military skills to plan those attacks and handle business. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. With all that being said, thank you again for watching. Until next time.